Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind Podcast, a podcast for estate professionals who earn more, work less, and make a huge difference in their communities. If you get value out of this free content, be sure to check out ProbateMastery.com, where you can get live classes, access to weekly coaching, and valuable courses. To learn more, visit ProbateMastery.com. Now let's jump into this week's content. So welcome. This is the Estate Professionals Mastermind. I'm getting started 2 minutes late. You guys forgive me. I was wrapping up a client conversation and it went a little bit long. So Estate Professionals Mastermind, if you've never been here before, we do this every Tuesday. The many faces that I see that are familiar, welcome back in. If anyone wants to see these after the fact, or maybe you've missed some, or there's topics that you're not that you want to dig through, you could always jump over to your favorite podcast app. On Estate Professionals Mastermind is the name of the podcast. So this just gets recorded and put there. It also goes over onto our Probate Mastery YouTube channel. So if you like YouTube or podcast and listen while you drive or listen while you sleep, listen outside of these, please go join those. A lot of good content. These calls, some of the other content sessions and trainings that we do end up there as well. So if you don't know, this is kind of open forum. We're going to encourage you guys to ask your questions, share your experiences. Those of you that have been here many times, I want to start hearing some success stories from you guys. So again, if you have a question, that's totally fine, but I would like to start hearing success story. And I'm going to start today's call by defining what I would consider a success story. So I'm going to define success for you guys in the probate niche. So often, people come into the probate and the estate niche and then leave the probate and estate niche. And I ask why they quit, and they go, "I didn't get a closing fast enough." People will come in and they'll go, "Hey, I'm at the end of my rope. I have 1 month to get a closing." And if that's you guys, I encourage you to learn estate and probate, but a month is not going to be the time that you're going to get predictable deals and predictable income. So I'm simply going to encourage you guys to adjust the expectations of what you're looking for initially in your relationships, and start to view success differently. So many of you guys have heard me talk about this before. Goals. So we all have goals, and at least I hope you guys have goals for the year. So goals for the year are the equivalent of planting a flag on the opposite side of the Grand Canyon from where you stand, and then just walking blindly toward that flag without looking down at where your feet land. Okay, what's going to happen? You're going to fall in a hole. So you have to set the goal. You have to put the flag over there and know what flag you're walking toward. But from that point forward, you look at the path. So your goal should help you define what the path is going to be. So for me, if I have a goal of closing 24 estate and probate deals this year, I work it backward and I say, what are those activity and financial steps that I need to hit to get there? And for me, at 24 probate and estate closings in a year, if it's all going to come, let's pretend it all comes out of a probate list. So there's no attorney referrals and things like that. It's just all from a probate list. What that means is, because I convert at least 20% of anyone that it goes into my pipeline, that means that I need to find 480 people for my pipeline over the next year. I can stop looking at the 24 closings that are going to come out of my list. I can start looking for the pipeline. Okay, and I'm not going to go super deep on this, but I just want to kind of reset some of those measurements of success that you guys have. Instead of looking at here's how many closings, here's how much money, let's look at the step that it takes to get to that. And now I just go hunt for my 480 people in my pipeline. Okay, what is a pipeline lead? A pipeline lead is someone that I've had a conversation with that I think is going to sell. So I call you, you say, I really don't need anything right now. Anda, I don't need anything right now. I got it all covered. And I go, hey, wonderful. Tell you what, let me shoot you some resources and you can give me a call if anything ever comes up. Is that fair? And they say, yeah, that's fine. It's a put off. All right. They're like, yeah, send me your resources. I'll call you. Don't call me. I'll call you. That's basically what they're saying. So I have permission to market to them at least. And now I go, hey, once probate is over, is the real estate something you guys are thinking about selling, or is it just too early to say? And they say, yeah, we have a house, but we don't know what we're going to do. And I say, I've got a seller on my hands now. The person that I talked to, they think that they were holding me off. They just gave me the answer that I need. So that person becomes one of those pipeline leads. So again, I'm not focused so much on the actual number of closings or the actual income I'm getting out of the niche. I'm focused exclusively on building my pipeline and giving people the opportunity to tell me what's going to happen with the real estate without knowing that they're telling me what's going to happen with the real estate. So I want you guys just kind of working your goals backward and starting to focus more on kind of a lower level of what you would consider to be a success. How many people are in your pipeline? A couple of weeks ago, we heard from David, and David was talking about having 84 people that he is pretty sure he's got a great shot at listing. So 84 people so far in January. That's a really good. I think these 84 people are going to list, and most of them are going to give me a shot. And then I don't remember what the number was, but his number and his pipeline was well into the hundreds of people that he thinks they're going to sell. He doesn't know if they're going to use him, but at least he's identified them as a pipeline. And if I can identify someone as a pipeline and market to them and follow up and do the good things, I'm going to get at least 20% to do a deal with me. That's my minimum numbers. 20% of the people that I think are going to sell, they're going to do a deal with me. Why? Because I've got 6 or 8 months to separate myself from the pack. If any of you guys are competing with me in my market, and I don't think anyone is, but let's just pretend that someone was. If you want to compete with me, you need to market to and follow up with your leads for at least 6 to 8 months to keep pace. Okay. Now, that's not normal. I do that because I know that my average agent or investor that's in the probate niche is going to follow up 3 times or touch a lead 3 times. That doesn't do it. Okay. I want you guys to plan on a 6 to 8 month effort and nurture and cultivation of your leads. And if you can fill your pipeline, that pipeline is going to produce a business for you that is unimaginable, that many people didn't even know how big this business could get for you. Okay. Now we're going to talk about a lot of different things over the course of weeks and months that you guys are with me. We'll talk about how to present more value and how to have higher level conversations. But right now, I mainly want to start by letting you know that it's all about the pipeline. All you need to do is go out and have conversations with people and see if they can give you the answer on what might happen with real estate, even if they don't know that they're giving you that answer. Okay. If somebody's a little bit resistant, it's totally normal. How many of you answer the phone when someone telemarkets you and give them all the answers that they're looking for? Okay. How many of you are a little bit resistant when you get a phone call? Yeah, most of us are a bit resistant when we get a phone call. So the strategy here is to call, but give people permission, give them the opportunity to resist you while still giving you some of the information that you need. And from that point on, you market, you separate yourself from the pack. The majority of these folks that are going through probate that have a house, the majority, or at least half, will sell. So in the beginning, all we have to do is figure out who those sellers are. That's it. It's not to convince someone to meet with you and take an offer. It's not to convince them to meet with you for a listing appointment. If they do, great. But That's not the first goal. The first goal is just get a conversation going and see if you can figure out what you think is going to happen in the future. The second goal is separate yourself from the competition and be there and be the most credible expert that they know when the time is right. All right. So, Um, if you've been here before, you know I monologue a lot in the opening. Most of that is just because I'm looking for hands. So this would be a great opportunity for those of you that want to ask questions. If you have a question about a deal that you're trying to put together, if somebody's giving you an objection you're not sure how to overcome, if you want to talk about marketing or where to get leads, it's all on the table here to kind of take any questions that you guys have. If you do, just go down to the bottom of your Zoom screen and there's a little heart that says react underneath of it. Click that and raise your hand and I'll call on you. It's good to see Aline. Aline, welcome in. Anda, let's go for it. Anda, I'm gonna pull you up. What do you have?
Hi, Bruce.
Hey.
Um, I have a question about addressing a call where I think we might have talked in the past, but I have encountered it again where they brush me off with we have everything covered, and we don't need your help. And I learned so much from the course, listening to the scripts with mirroring and validating.
Hmm.
And I kind of want to go again over that.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. So first thing we want to do is get back on the same page with that person who thinks that they're on an opposite page from us. So we've offered help, that we're on this page. I want to help you. They go over here to this page. I don't want your help. So first thing we need to do is make sure that we get onto the same page with them, and the easiest way to do that is to agree, concede. It's not to say, hey, you know what? I understand that you might think that, and here's why you're wrong. All right, I've had people many times in the past that have said I keep losing people. I don't know why they get angry and hang up on me. And I ask them how their conversation goes, and they get to the point where the person goes, "Hey, I don't need your help. I've got it all handled." And I say, "What do you do?" And they go, "Well, I tell them that they're wrong, and I tell them why they're wrong." Okay, that's the opposite of getting on the same page. So get on their page, agree, concede, concede. Um, Now, what I'd like you to do at that point is rephrase their position in a way that causes them to shift. Okay, so I don't need your help. That's definitive. It's definitive. It's conversation killing. What I need to do is get them to agree to this new position that to them it kind of sounds the same, but it's something that you can build off of. I can't build off, I don't need you. What I can build off of is, I wasn't looking for anything today. I can build off of that. Why? What you need versus what you're looking for are different, two different things. I might not be looking for something, but maybe I need it. I'm not looking for something today means that maybe that there might be an opportunity we might need something in the future. So I don't need anything. I've got it all handled. I'm going to agree. Hey, that's great. It kind of sounds like you really weren't looking for extra help today. Yes, that's right. So suddenly I can work with, I wasn't looking for anything today. Again, I can't work with, I don't need anything. So I've got to get that small, imperceptible shift in their position. And now I can start to build off of it. The way that I'm going to build off of it is normally to fall to a, let me shoot you some resources. I want you to call me if anything ever comes up. Why am I going to do that? Um, because they don't want to be hounded. If I said, hey, can I follow up with you? Um, Worst thing that could happen is they say, yeah, you can follow up with me. And then they block my number. Okay, that's the worst thing that could possibly happen. Second worst thing that could happen is they go, "No, you can't follow up with me." Well, now I'm dead. So I want to make sure that when they are answering the question of staying in touch, that they get the feeling that they're going to be in charge over whether we talk in the future. Now, anyone here that says, "Wait a minute, I need to I need to have some control over the follow-up." You do. It's one of those things that it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. So if I ask permission to follow up with you and to call you and chase you, you might say no. If in 2 weeks when I call you back, you go, "Oh, I thought I was going to call you. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just thought of something." Okay, so better to ask forgiveness than permission. So I never, when I'm kind of closing for sending someone information, I'm never going to say, um, "Can I call you?" It's always, "I'll send you some resources, and I want you to save it and recognize that I'm always just a phone call away. You can call me if you ever need anything." Okay. So I basically want it to be something that they can't disagree with. "I'll send you some resources. You can call me if you ever need anything." Why on earth would they say no? Why? Okay. This is the epitome of being on the same page now. Now, it doesn't mean that they love me. It doesn't mean that they're about to tell me their life story and everything that they need. It doesn't mean any of that, but at least now we're on the same page. We have an understanding. I'm going to send you resources. You're going to call me if you need anything. And then, of course, I go into my CRM or on my calendar and I mark them down for me to follow up with them. I'll ask forgiveness if I need to. Again, please don't ask them if you can call them. They might say no, which is terrible. Worse is they say yes and they block you or they program your number as do not answer. I've done that. I have a number of people here that chase me and they caught me on a day where I didn't want to be a jerk and I've saved their number and I've said financial advisor do not answer and his number pops up and I'm like, "Ah, oh, here's that guy again. I'm going to let it go to voicemail." Okay? That's a killer for a prospector. If it's a no, I would rather hear no than hear yes and then have someone just passive aggressively ignoring me. So I don't want to give them a chance to decide to passive aggressively ignore you. And that's why they need to think that they're in control over future interactions. Now, at that point, some of us, if the conversation is reasonably well, this is where I would probably shift toward real estate. So, hey, Anda, real quick, just before I jump off, can I ask you, once probate is over, okay? Once probate is over, is the house there on Main Street, is that something that you guys are probably going to need to sell, or is it just too early to tell?
Still thinking about it.
Still thinking about it? So, I hadn't really decided yet. All right, let's break. I want Anda, you tell me, or anyone else here that just heard that, tell me what's good and what feels wrong about the way I ask that question. All right. Let's start with this. What feels wrong about the way that I asked the real estate question? And I'm going to do it again. And those of you that like to prospect, tell me what feels wrong. So the question is, hey, real quick before I jump off, can I ask, once probate's over, um, is the property there like on Main Street or anything with the estate? Is it something you guys are thinking about selling, or is it just too early to tell? So those of you that like the phone, tell me what feels wrong about that question. Anda, can you think of anything?
I
Curtis, you've got something. You waved at me. And by the way, I can't see everyone. I've got 7 or 8 panels here, so if somebody's waving at me, I probably don't see you. It's best to raise your hand, but I did see Curtis. So what feels wrong about that?
I forget what the last part, what the exact verbiage was, but I think it was or is that something you're just waiting to, I forget what you said.
Yeah,
I
is
think
it
it
too
was the
early to
or.
tell?
Yeah,
Is it
or is
too
it
early
too
to
early
tell?
to tell?
Hmm. Yep.
I
So
think
is
it
that
was maybe, I think it was like maybe a more assumptive phrasing would have been better. But
hmm
but I'm just throwing that out there.
fair? Yep. I was looking for that. Okay. I was looking for that as being one of the responses of what felt wrong about my question. Okay. Anything else feel wrong about my question? And I'll phrase it again. Hey, once probate's over, is the property there on Main Street something that you guys are thinking about selling, or is it just too early to tell?
Is it not having an option not to sell, kind of?
Fair. Okay. That's one thing. Not having an option not to sell is something that could feel wrong. Okay. Probably more than one more thing, but one more thing I'm looking for. Hey, once probate's over, is the property there on Main Street something that you guys are thinking about selling, or is it just too early to tell? They don't need to wait, Sarah. Yes. Perfect. They don't need to wait. That's exactly what it is. It's once probate is over. All right. Now that's exactly the way I shift to real estate. And I get better results with that than anything else I've ever tried on a probate phone call. So I wanted you guys to bring those up on purpose, okay? Because I want to tackle those issues. Why would I why would I say once probate is over? Why would I do that? Any guesses?
You shift the now to future and you take the pressure off.
Yep. So I'm shifting the now to the future, taking the pressure off. When there's less pressure, they're more likely to be honest with their response. So if I said, "Hey, are you guys going to be selling Main Street in the next 2 days?" Okay, not that we would say that, but the implication sometimes when we ask about real estate is it makes that person feel like their answer is a now answer, and it makes them feel like they're walking into a trap. So I always err on the side of when I ask the question, making them think that they're answering for much later. So in a couple of years, are you thinking about, and I won't say that, but in a couple of years, are you thinking about selling the house, or is it something that you're just not sure about? Okay. So it's just getting them off in the future to remove the pressure. Um, okay, let's take the other one. Or is it just too early? Somebody tell me why I would say, is it just too early? Any guesses on why it's just too early? Joseph, it gives them an out. It gives them an out. Yes. There's more than just it gives them an out. Sarah, it's their usual objection. I'm going to put those two things together. It gives them an out and it's their normal objection. Um, remember, um, I want to be in control. If I think that an objection is coming, I want the objection to come on my terms. So common objections that people give on a probate phone call are um, we don't know, it's too early, or we don't need anything. Our attorney has it all handled. Most of the time, when it's vocalized as an objection, they're intentionally jumping to a different page from you. So if they jump to a different page, it's your job to get back on the page that they're on. I would rather them not jump to a different page. I would rather give them an option to say, yes, it's too early. Yes, I have everything handled. Yes, my attorney is handling things for me. Whatever objections you guys are hearing, I would rather give them a chance to say, yes, I choose this option that you have given me, than no, I don't need what you just offered. I'm over here. So I'd rather start kind of continue the conversation by setting them up to be on my page, even if uh, the choice that they've taken is something that's not ideal for the conversation. It helps with rapport. Okay, so is it too early? Is something that I've discovered is a way for me to control the objection. So I want them to say, yes, it's too early. Okay. It also helps me control the objection. I'd rather get it's too early than we're not selling. We're not selling. So I had back before I started doing this this particular approach, I had a client of mine that would call and he'd say, "Is the house something that you guys are going to sell or are you going to keep?" And 80% of everyone that he would ask that question of would say, "We're going to keep the house." Why? They lean into the resistance. Everybody that you're talking to is a stranger on the phone. They're going to lean into the resistance. So if you give them an option to say, no, not selling, they're probably going to lean that way, even if it's not true. And he would get, nope, not an opportunity, not an opportunity, not an opportunity. Just have all these leads that were like, this is a dead lead, this is a dead lead. And we dug into it and we realized that most of them were selling. Okay. So were they lying? Maybe. Were they leaning into the option to resist that he was giving them? Yes. So everybody that I'm talking to is a stranger on the phone. I know they want to lean toward resistance. And if they're going to lean that way, I don't want it to be not selling. That kind of kills my relationship. I would rather it be it's too early. What's it's too early tell us? It's too early. What does it tell us?
That potentially it's inevitable
Yeah.
sale.
Yep. Potentially it's inevitable. We haven't thought about it. We've got other things on our plate. We're going to sell, but we don't want to tell you. The biggest thing that it tells you is they have a house. Okay, that's the biggest thing. So if you said, "Hey, is the real estate something that you guys are gonna sell or is it too early?" If they don't have a house, they're gonna go, "What house?" If they've already sold, they're gonna go, "Hey, we already sold." They're gonna bring one of the other options up. I just don't want to make one of those other options too easy for them to take. I want to give them a nice passive way to resist me that still gives me the truth. And I've found that 80-90% of everyone that says it's too early to tell is normally going to sell a house. So I'm giving them the satisfaction of holding me off. I'm getting the truth. And what I'm doing is I'm reading between the lines. Between the lines of we don't know yet or it's too early to tell, between those lines is there's a house sale coming at a insanely high percentage of the time. Um, Now, sometimes someone will go, yeah, there is no house. We already sold. We're not selling, never going to leave. They'll bring one of those up. I normally believe that. Why? Because it wasn't one of the two options I gave. Okay. Um, so is it too, repeat that Chris said, repeat the too early line. So is the property something that you guys are kind of thinking about selling, or is it just a little too early to decide on that? There's a million ways that you can phrase that. Um, and then don't get disheartened when it's too early. Don't get disheartened when we don't know. We're not going to decide right now. Those are great, great answers. So, Lynn, go for it. I saw your hand. Sorry, I got on a tangent there. Unmute
No, you're
yourself, please.
totally good. Well, nice to meet you. This is my first time in this group.
Yeah.
But something I've learned is always offer something of value, whether they want it or not. So when you ask them about, are you selling the house at some point? And if they say no, or maybe we don't know yet, or, my first thought would be, would it be helpful to you if I gave you a net sheet so you could kind of see what fees are associated when the time comes to sell and give it to them with no expectation? But of
Yep.
course, have all your contact info in there because they will remember that later on that you offered something of value with nothing in return wanted.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I totally agree. Um, we need to find several and kind of pre-plan if we can for several places to insert those offers of value. Now, Lynn, where I would make a small adjustment is where I find the gap to offer that item of value. So for me, I usually want to set it up with a preliminary statement or question. So I want to kind of baby step into the value. So an example that I've used, and this is strictly an example. I don't want a bunch of you guys running out and saying Bruce said this is the way to do it. Okay, so an example of giving that property value, I might say, hey, totally understand. It sounds like you guys have other things to deal with before you even talk about it with the family. Okay. And most of the time they're going to go, yeah, we got a lot on our plate. Okay, perfect. Not a problem. Listen, if the time ever comes that you decide to sell, could you keep my number and give me a call? Remember, that's not because I'm not going to follow up with them. I just want them to feel like they have more control over it. And then I'm going to say, by any chance, has your accountant asked you for an updated value on the property for tax purposes? Now, what are the odds that their accountant has asked them for an updated value on the property? Slim to none. Oh, okay, not a problem. They're probably going to ask for that in the future. Most of the time, appraisals run $600-700 in this area. Um, would you have any interest in getting that for free? Okay. What are the odds that they're going to say no? Pretty slim. Pretty slim. Now, maybe they're being super resistant and they say no. Some people are just skeptical, and that's okay. I'm fine with skepticism. I'm a bit skeptical. That's why I kind of do that intermediate step where I completely agree with their position before I offer value, is because I kind of want to remove any possibility that they're going to be skeptical. Um, but kind of doing it that way, and then hey, any chance you might want that for free? Not that many people are going to say no. And now that's going to set you up, Lynn, for a really good CMA or evaluation of the property. All right. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. That's just one way to do it. But I think that what Lynn just said is beautiful. Back to before before the real estate topic is brought up. So let's say I'm going into a probate call. My offer is a concierge type offer. So basically, what I do, and this is how I would explain it, is I kind of act like a concierge, providing like a turnkey service for folks going through probate. Do you guys have everything handled at this point? Two options. Do you have everything handled at this point? Or is there anything I could take off your plate? They're going to lean into, we've got it handled. Why? You're a stranger on the phone. Do they have it handled? Probably not. But again, we're a stranger on the phone. So that they'll probably go there. Now to Lynn's point, offer some value. So normally what I do is go, hey, completely understand. So I'm going to baby step into the offer. I totally understand. It kind of sounds like you guys have everything covered for the time being, weren't looking for any extra help today. Yeah, that's right. We got everything situated. Perfect. I'll tell you what, I've got a packet of some resources that are available that you might need as you go through probate. You might not. I'll just drop those in the mail to you. I want you to do me a favor, save it. If anything ever comes up that you need help with or you need a resource, just give me a call. Is that okay? So all of these, I've practiced these. I've tried a lot of different ways of saying them. Almost everything that I'm doing here with what I'm describing is designed to where only the most skeptical say no. Um, these questions that I ask and these things that I offer have an insanely high likelihood of getting someone to agree. Now, it doesn't mean that they've agreed to sell a house with me. It just means that they've agreed to that little baby step. And then I can move on to a different topic after. So I want everyone to recognize that your first objective on these calls is to get rapport, make sure you're on the same page. And that means if they say something that's completely wrong, don't tell them they're wrong. You can address their wrongness later in the call if you want. Your second objective is to set them up to read between the lines. And between the lines for real estate purposes is it's too early for us to tell right now, which tells us there is a house. Okay. And too early means that they probably are too early to have decided, but it's most likely going to be sold. right? And now your marketing can take over, and just make sure your marketing and your follow-up prospecting game is good. If it is, you guys should convert 20% of your pipeline. All right. Personally, my goal is 25 people in my pipeline identified every month. So every month I want to find 25 people that I think are going to sell. Really good question, Lynn. And if you would, I have you pinned and off mute. Go ahead and ask that. Just so we have something audible. It's going to help me with my YouTube video and podcast.
Oh, I just said, how do you find properties that may be going to probate?
Sure. Couple of different ways. Way number one is, and Sarah, I'm going to ask you if you can unmute yourself to ask that question as well after we talk to Lynn. So the first way is get referrals. That's the first way. So go build relationships with attorneys that are estate planning and probate based attorneys. That takes a little while. So I tell most people that go, hey, I hate making cold calls. I hate sending cold letters. I hate doing the direct to consumer prospecting. I tell most of those folks, look, you got to do the direct to consumer prospecting for a little while. At the same time, you should be building up a base of relationships and strengthening your rapport and credibility with some attorneys, because eventually they're going to start to refer you. If you do a good job and stay in front of them and keep offering value, they're going to start to refer you. And the time when my referrals from attorneys becomes consistent, I now have a choice. Do I want to drop the direct to consumer prospecting and just work my attorney referrals, or do I want to keep doing both? And I would encourage most people to keep doing both. But if you hate prospecting that much, just keep your attorney referrals. In the meantime, while you're building those up, go prospect. Now, if you are looking for probate records, couple of ways. So the easiest, the cheapest, let me say that, the cheapest is go to the courthouse. Some of us, in this day and age, more and more counties are coming online with their probate records, which it's a catch 22. My probate records where I am, they're all online. Now I have to have a case number before I can look a record up. So I need to start with kind of the raw data. But I could look, a lot of you guys can find all your probate records online. You don't have to buy your leads. You don't have to go to the courthouse. I like to go to the courthouse. Why? I want the clerk to know me. I want some of the lawyers to know me. I want the judge to know me. I'll sit in hearings, different things like that. But the cheapest way for any of us is to either online or at the clerk's office go in and ask for the public records. And then just dig through and see who's applied, see what information you can glean from their application, from their case. Do a skip trace and call them. It's labor intensive if you have to go to the courthouse. But that's going to be kind of the cheapest way. It's labor intensive even if you do it yourself online. The way that I do it is I just buy a list. So I start with kind of by purchasing a raw list from a company that would go into the courthouse for me. So I use alltheleads.com to get my list. They usually skip trace it for me, send me decedent name, date of death, date of filing, personal representative name, personal representative address. Very, very important to know where the PR lives. Personal representative phone numbers, skip traced, so 90% accuracy, not 100%. They'll usually give me 2 or 3 additional likely heirs with phone numbers, skip traced. Those additional heirs and phone numbers are probably 60% accurate, so not 100%. Anything that's skip traced is never going to be flawless, but it's going to be an extra option for you. Emails. I don't email people unless they've verbally given me an email. I just don't necessarily trust a skip traced email, but I have it. If they're not answering, I can door knock, I can mail, I can do an email, I can do different things. So that's all the leads. Not crazy pricey. There's a ton of subscribers with all the leads on this call. They're not crazy pricey, but because of their systems and the data that they give, they're a little bit higher than a few of the other companies. The other companies don't quite give the exact same systems and the exact same data, but there's other companies like US Probate Leads or Foreclosures Daily that can also get your probate records for you. I don't find that their phone numbers and contacts are quite as accurate, but that might not hurt everybody. There's still really good data in there. So you could either go to the courthouse and get your list, go online and get your list, or you could buy your list from an aggregator. What I would not do is buy my list from a lead miner that scrapes data online. Um, some of my favorite platforms to use are platforms like Propelio for investors or PropStream for investors or agents. I like both of those, and there's plenty of others. When they sell probate leads, it's usually a scrape from like just a data miner online. The records are normally much worse, far fewer records than having a company go into the courthouse and get your list. So I checked PropStream a few years ago. It hasn't been recent, and I know that in my county there's about 200 filings a month, little less. I pulled the month of probate records on PropStream that just kind of mined it online, and they had 6. Now, that's not bashing PropStream. I really like PropStream. I do some skip tracing there. I look at other property records there if I'm doing other sources. But companies like that usually aren't quite as good as the companies that send a person into the courthouse to pull the leads. Okay. So you guys either go or buy it from someone who sends someone to the courthouse would be my suggestion. Super long answer. Sorry about that. Okay. Sarah, are you free? Do you want to ask your
Yeah,
question?
I'm just making my lunch.
Perfect. All right, not a problem. So you had a couple of things that you were chatting in, and I'm going to be selfish and say for the content and for the video or the podcast that goes out, it's better to hear your voice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
would you
So you briefly said you expect to get 25 goodish leads a month,
Mhm.
and of those, you expect how many of those to convert? That was my question.
I personally
20%.
want to convert 20%.
So you want to convert 20% of the 25, so about 5.
Yep. Yep. So there's a big range. I've seen people convert 40% or close to 50% of their pipeline. I see a lot of people that convert fewer of their pipeline. So when I'm creating my business plan and I'm setting my per closing budget, and my per closing budget is $1,000. I don't want it to cost me more than $1,000 to acquire a client. So when I am setting that budget, I plan for 5%, not 5%, 10%, 10%. I make a plan for 10%. And if that keeps me under $1,000 per acquisition, I'm good with it. But let me tell you, if I only converted 10% of my pipeline, I'd be pretty disappointed. All right.
Yeah,
I'd take it. Okay. That's 2.5 deals a month. I'll take it.
yeah,
But I'm like, man, there's a lot of inefficiencies here. If I'm operating efficiently, I think I should get 20%.
yeah. I haven't tracked my conversion, partly because I kind of fell off on my follow-up.
Okay. That's where most of us fall off.
Yeah,
Yeah. Your follow-up is very labor intensive. It's hard to systemize follow-up like cold.
seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, any tips on that? Because like I feel like I'm fine with grabbing and figuring out who's a good lead. Well, who's a good lead, a good fit for me, kind of. I mean, a good lead versus a good fit for your business, right? Is two different things sometimes.
Hmm.
But in terms of not so much what to do to follow up, but more on how do you systemize that process and keep yourself on track. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Other than want it every day.
I gotta admit, my follow-up is about want to every day. Okay. There are days I don't want to, there are days I don't do it. My follow-up
Yeah.
game is more of a want to. Yes, CRM is going to help you know who to go after each day. But when I'm doing my calls are a little more easy to systemize. My mail marketing, hard to systemize. Okay.
So
Because
you don't have all the leads doing that for you?
my warm follow-up mail marketing.
Sorry, my
Okay.
dog is gross.
Yeah. So
Okay.
ours, so all the leads for me is going to handle. I mentioned to you guys earlier that I use all the leads to get my leads in their systems. One of their systems is mail marketing. So you can load a list in and say, I want this list to get these 7 letters 3 weeks apart. Okay, whatever you want, and that just goes
Yeah.
automatically. Once I've had a dialogue, I find it to be a little bit weird that that person would get a letter from me a week later that says, Sarah, I'm writing to introduce myself.
For
Okay.
sure.
So the
But what if
second
you
that,
switched it? Are you able to switch it so that it only sends to people you want it to and only sends follow-up letters?
I know they were
Because those
working
are
on
all
that.
kind of sequential.
Yeah, I know they were working on that. I don't know if it came out. Actually, one of all the leads coaches, Aline, is here and with her hand up. So, Aline, if you know if you can do like if you can create an individual marketing plan for an individual in all the leads, let us know. I don't know the answer to that. I do it personally because mostly because I put comps and price estimates in each one of my warm marketing mailers. So,
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, the
so
brief, I was going to, I'm not muted. Okay.
no.
Unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that as well. I haven't used it in that way. What I had my hand raised for was to give an option of something I've done with my pipeline in order of importance is I've numbered them 1 through 10. So each one in the pipeline in terms of their readiness to sell
Hmm.
have like if they're going to sell within the month within 1 month, then they would be a 10 and then go down from there. So I'm targeting the ones that are more likely to be sooner first.
Yes. I've done that and would agree with that. One of the the only space that I kind of hesitate to say, hey, you guys need to go do that. The only reason that I would hesitate at all to not wholly endorse what you just said is I think we need more people in our pipeline than our top 10, top 20. So
Oh,
I get
yeah, absolutely.
really loose with my pipeline. Um, um, I don't know. I haven't looked at it because I have a partner. I haven't looked at it recently, but we're probably in the range of 200 people who have inherited a house, have not sold the house that we think are going to sell. And we've got our top list of 7 or 8 probably. Um, but everyone else needs to be getting some marketing as well. So the 192 other people, they also need some individualized, customized marketing touches also. Now that list is getting pretty big. It's hard to do that with 192 people that are big. So maybe that could be automated with just some generic marketing material. That's fine. I prefer to customize. So I prefer taking the extra time to kind of put the pieces in the mailer to take a look at comps and do a quick analysis of the market value and estimate what I would be able to get them if they sold. So that's my preference. And it does get to be a little bit oppressive when your pipeline is loaded full. It gets to be a bit much. Okay. So, um, but if I drop a few out of there, if my pipeline's big, I can almost afford to drop a few out of there as long as I'm getting my 20%. Okay.
And Bruce, you mail CMAs?
I don't do CMAs. So
What do you do?
I do a seller option sheet that lays out 2 to 4 options. And I will do comps. So I may clip everything that's house pricing related together. So if I'm sending anything else as a part of that, they might be loose, but anything that's price related on a property, I clip together. So I'll do a quick little cover letter that says, look, I haven't seen your house, so I'm taking a shot in the dark at this. If your house is in good, I know your neighborhood really well. If it's in good condition, these prices will stand. If it's better than good or a little worse than good, there could be some adjustments. And then I'll underneath of that I'll say, if you were to list your house, you should expect this. If you were to do a quick sale to get cash quickly, you should expect this. If you were to owner finance it to me, you should expect this. And then I'll put some comps behind it to support those and put those together out the door. So some of you guys do CMAs, no problem. Please do CMAs if you're comfortable with them. I I don't send CMAs because I feel like there's a lot of fluff that most people don't read. So I'm trying to get straight to the point with something a little more concise. All right. Okay. What else? What else? We got 7 minutes before we end. I saw a lot of questions come in chat. Al, go for it.
Bruce, I'm new to the program here, not new in the business. I was a commercial broker for about 25 years in Beverly Hills. Got throat cancer, almost went down, but I made it. While I was recouping, I started wholesaling. I never heard about what wholesaling was. And the reason I am here is because 85% of the offers that I make typically usually it's a probate, and there are 44 other. I just made an offer yesterday on a property, 15 offers on it. So much competition. I said, I got to go in and get my own probates. I'm tired of losing the competition here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to subscribe to your program. I know how to talk to people. I mean, I listen to all of what you're saying. It's just how you deliver it. You can say whatever you want. It's how you deliver it. I'm good at that. I cold call every day. I make 5 to 10 offers a day, but I want to start doing probates. My question on probate is if I buy a list, and I've been researching tons of companies, I listen to what you say, is where do I jump in when I see a probate lead to speak about the asset?
Mm. There's a couple of different ways that you could do this. So I'll tell you what I used to do, and I changed because this new approach works better for me. For me. But what I used to do and would have some success is just dive straight in. Hey, I'm calling about a house on 123 Main Street. Wasn't 100% sure what was going on with that. It kind of seems like it might be part of an estate. Um, are you by any chance responsible for that? Okay, what am I doing there? I'm disguising
Mhm.
the fact that they're on a list. Um, how'd you get my number is one of the objections that people get when they call. And the thing that makes me cringe the most is I buy a list. Not everybody
Uh,
does that, but your name's on a list is just really cringy. Okay. So if I'm gonna disguise the fact that I just saw them on a probate list, I might lean into it that way. Another way that I could do it is, hey, I work really closely, not for, but with the county clerk's office, working with families that are going through probate and specifically helping with the families that have real estate involved in the probate process. Um, any chance that you guys are needing any real estate help, maybe with a sale or a transfer or anything like that? So that would be another way that you could dig into and open up your call.
okay, but I guess the question is when I buy 100 leads, I'm not sure at what point, when I purchase a lead, is that a new probate or has that been in the system for a while? That's what I'm not sure about.
It should be a new probate, depending on where you get your list. The majority of the lead providers that are out there are typically no more than 30 days from filing.
Okay.
Some are a
No,
week, some are 30 days. So it's probably just been filed
because
recently,
I'm looking at all the leads. I'm looking at U.S. probate, and I'm looking at probate money, and
all
I'm
within
trying,
30 days.
right. Okay. So I
Yeah.
can hit it. I can hit them that early, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. Now,
Okay.
the likelihood that the majority of them are selling that early is pretty slim.
No, I
Um,
understand that. I understand that part.
yeah,
And the
15,
reason is
20% will sell that fast, but the rest are going to wait.
my weakness, just like Sarah said, is the follow-up. I'm like Robert De Niro, he says I need to get this organized, so I'm not sure how to do the follow-up. That's where I need some help. But I cold call every day. I know how to talk to people. I'm a senior citizen. I lost my mom, my dad, my two brothers, so I've got experience with probate. But the systems is what I'm weak on.
Hmm. Um, so CRM for your call, follow-up calls, but I would do some email and mail
Mhm.
after the conversation's been opened on the phone.
Okay.
Um, and and do it long enough to get into the heart of where they're going to sell. So if you talk to someone in month one and they say they're not ready yet or they don't know, um, that person, the likelihood that they're going to take another 6 months to make a decision or get to real estate is pretty high. Um, that's for that reason, I'm still in probate. If
I see.
everybody was making a decision inside of a month or two, I probably wouldn't be in probate anymore. There would be so much competition that is consistently noisy. It would be like expireds, and I'm a fan of expireds. Don't get me wrong. I think you guys that are doing it should keep doing it. But in most markets, there's 300 people that go after expireds, and they list again so fast in a lot of cases that your competition never drops off. Probate, if it's noisy in week one, it's not going to be noisy in month four. And I'll kind of be one of the only people that's still interacting. So CRM for the follow-up calls, but then I would just make sure that you have a reminder in your CRM to send the email or the mail piece. And I would um, prefer that that be slightly more customized and take a little bit of thought from you. Have to think about Bob rather than my system automatically sends it out and it just replaces the name.
Got it.
I would rather each thing that you send, you could get a reminder through your CRM, but I'd rather it be something that you actually think about them before it goes. And if you
Yeah.
can't, then try to automate it and let a company blast out your mailers and the company will just mail merge the name and address.
No, I'm like you. I take time and I've got a little spreadsheet that I put my comps on and stuff like this. So
Mhm.
I agree with what you're doing. Thank you very much.
Yep. Yeah, thanks, Al. Appreciate it. All right. We're at the top of the hour. Anybody else have any questions? I've seen a load of chats come in. If I missed anyone's question, it really wasn't intentional. I get kind of talking, and I'm a slow reader, so if anyone chatted something in and I missed it, I didn't intentionally miss it. Now would be an opportunity to either pop it back in or raise your hand. Um, and ask a question. If not, I will let you guys go.
Uh,
Aline, thanks for contributing. Sarah, thank you for contributing. Somebody just chimed in. What? Who was
it's
that?
Anda.
Yeah,
Anda.
go
Hey,
for it, Anda.
I don't know if it's gonna be a short answer from you. You always say after one of the options is to say I'm gonna send you some resources. Is with the short answer, what resources are you sending as a follow-up to a call that we mentioned earlier?
So I'm gonna give an answer that's gonna infuriate a whole lot of people, but I'm still gonna give the answer and a little bit of an idea. So as a part of this coaching that's free, um, I keep it at 30,000 foot level. As a part of mastery, the course, we get down to like 500 feet. And then anybody that coaches, we go boots on the ground and we actually create it. So to get the real examples and the templates and things like that, jump over into coaching. To get deeper, go to Probate Mastery. The 30,000 foot view of what I send is like a cover letter. If you have a brochure or a probate checklist or some kind of guide, pop that in there. If you've got a seller option sheet with different price options that they get, pop that in. Some people put an actual offer or listing agreement in their package. I don't, but some people do successfully. So just think to yourself, if my competition is mailing them, what do I send that separates me from anyone else that might be in their mailbox or on their phone? And if it's more than a single page letter, you're probably separating yourself a little bit. For me, I just want to separate myself a lot. I don't want to be caught. I know that the average person that I've started a conversation with knows 6 or 7 agents and probably an investor or two, and they're getting calls and things like that. So over the next month or two, I need to climb the ladder and become the top person in their mind. Um, the first conversation, I'm probably at the bottom of that ladder. So what am I going to send them that moves me into the top spots? And that's what I do. So is there anything that just they open it up and they're like, wow, everybody else just sent me a crummy letter. Look at this guy. And that's what I'm going to do. So the answer is you got to step back and think, okay, if I opened this up, what would make me, what would impress me? Put that stuff in there. Okay. Um, and it can be a bit intensive. I'm automating everything from at the cold level of lead, and I'm personalizing everything at the warm level of lead.
Sounds good. And this is cold or warm? Would you consider it warm at this time? Not necessarily.
Yeah, once they're in my pipeline, I consider it warm. There's different degrees of warm, but once they're in my pipeline, we've talked. I think that they're going to sell. They've said, yeah, send me your information. I consider it warm.
It helps. Thank you so much, Bruce.
Yeah, thanks so much. Okay, guys. Joe, uh, might be redundant, but do you have a funnel system you use to track each lead? Um, so there's not a funnel system that is necessarily tied to this program or anything like that. Any real estate CRM that you have is capable of setting up a funnel system for this. And you just go in and you might say in your CRM, build a template, and you build a warm probate lead template. And it just says call, mail, call, text. Just build that, and then you can apply that template to each lead. And don't be afraid to make little adjustments per lead based on how that conversation went. So I would just use kind of build a template in my CRM. For me, uh, my budget, once someone becomes a warm lead, once I think they're going to sell, my budget is $61. So how am I going to spend $61 to convert them? Um, you were talking packages, we're talking mailers, we're talking postcards, handwritten notes, emails. So that just so happens to be my personal budget. Some of you guys are going to be higher, some of you guys are going to be lower. Once you have your budget per warm lead, now it's up to you to go kind of design how many touches you can get out of that budget. Okay. I don't get a ton of touches out of my budgets because my stuff is usually a little more expensive per piece. All right. Cool. Hopefully that helped. Sometimes I give an answer that's like it depends and it drives people crazy, but it really does depend. There's no perfect process. There isn't a perfect process. And even if you found the perfect process, it would change in a year or two. So just be willing to make your adjustments and change with the market. All right, cool. All right. Thank you guys so much. We're a little over on time. Next Tuesday, we're up again. Tomorrow, for anyone in Mastery, so you've taken or are taking Probate Mastery, the certification program, tomorrow we're doing a class on creating your internal real estate team. So if you're an investor, what other real estate partners that kind of work with or for you do you want? If you're a real estate agent, what other partners do you want working with or for you? We're not talking about third-party vendors. We're talking about people that you form either employee or partnership type relationships with. So that's what we're going to be going over tomorrow. It's kind of late tomorrow. I think we're not up until late afternoon East Coast time. You guys look at your emails. That email will come out, probably already came out for the week. I think it went out this morning. There will be another email that goes out tomorrow afternoon. So that's available only for people in Probate Mastery. So if you're not, consider taking Probate Mastery and get in on those classes as well. Thanks a bunch. See you later.